wrap my head around why they're doing so badly, especially in a market that's, S&P 4,500 doesn't necessarily signal a recession coming anytime soon to me. I guess you could say that the bank stocks are being valued by the same people.
It should be close to one, right? Though that's what you want.
More than one.
More than one, I
just
guess.
means they're valued at the stuff they have.
All right. Yeah.
Don't they have any future at all?
So ask his question. He's a technician fundamentally, but let's see what he's back.
Is he back?
Yes, he is.
How do you know this stuff and I don't?
Because I am
all right.
clairvoyant.
Ryan, hey, sorry we lost you there. Just wondering about the bank valuations. I mean, to me, they're
and
not
we know
telling
you're
the
in
same.
Cincinnati, so sorry about that.
To me, they're not telling the same story as the overall stock market. S&P 4,500, we're up, 18% year to date? Looks fantastic. And yet the bank stocks, Goldman Sachs valued at 1.1 times book. Bank America is valued at its book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you think about it, that's a potential positive. Now, the banks have had the problems. We know about the inverted yield curve, some of the concerns that are out there. So that could be playing into some of it. And the truth, again, is earnings, are they spectacular? No, but we know it's all relative, right? It's just kind of where relative to expectations. I know American Express is not a bank, but you look at what American Express just said, record spending, don't see the consumer slowing down. Those things all make sense. I mean, we all know the 7 big stocks. We've heard a lot about that. If you look at the 493, take out those 7, a forward 12-month earnings are like right in line with where they've been the past, the 20 years. So, again, yes, tech's had this big run, but other parts of the world are relatively cheap. And I'll say one final comment on this. We like small caps and mid caps. We like it a lot because we don't see a recession. Those areas are historically cheap if you go back multiple decades relative to large caps. So, again, as this broadening out happens, financials, small caps, industrials, energy, they all look pretty darn good to us.
How would you play them, Ryan? Would you buy an ETF? Would you buy individual stocks? How do you play small caps and mid caps?
Yeah, we would stick with just ETFs or mutual funds. I mean, I can't do too much with individual equities anyway. But when it comes to ETFs, I think that's kind of the nicest way to play a lot of those things, especially mid caps. Mid caps are what everybody talks about, small caps and large caps. Mid caps just kind of get left, right? But again, you look at what's going on with the earnings and some of the fundamentals. There are some really solid mid cap names in there, and that's a group we're overweight small caps and mid caps. We're all year. We're still in that camp for a second half continued catch up trade.
Hey Ryan, one thing we talk about is we're seeing increasingly economists stop talking about recession and ratcheting higher their second quarter and third quarter GDP estimates. At the same time, you see U.S. equity strategists upping their forecast for the S&P 500. They were really wrong at the beginning of the, if you go back to what they were saying at the beginning of the year. John Authers of Bloomberg News has an interesting story about all of that. Having said that,
you still got 5 more months for them to be right.
All right, but still, we've gone halfway through the year. Fundamentally, we've also talked a lot about a rolling recession, perhaps than kind of a full-on recession. Do you see any kind of fundamental or technicals playing out in the market that says that? If you look at housing versus maybe cyclicals versus discretionary, I mean, I'm just curious if you're seeing any of that.
Yeah, we're not seeing any major signs of weakness right now. You think about that, like you just mentioned, look at equal weight discretionary relative to equal weight staples, plain and simple. Extreme strength there, which is what you tend to see when there's risk-on scenarios. Now, I'll be honest, coming into this year, we thought the S&P could gain about 15% for the year. We're one of the more bullish people out there also saying no recession, and I get it. We're right where we are. We're above, actually. The stock market's above, and we did upgrade our view on equities like a lot of other people, and we were one of the more bullish people, and you could say we still, I'd say we were wrong. We've been over at equities all year, but we're seeing just so much good things that are taking place. And you mentioned sentiment. Let's talk about sentiment just for a second here. The AAII poll, it came in over 50% bulls, the highest level since April of 2021. I took a look. When you have the first time there's 50% bulls or more, which is a lot. That's a lot. With a year without having it. So a long time people didn't believe, then they believe. What happens next? When you look back 30 years, right, the next 6 months are higher like every single time, up close to double-digit returns on average. So just because we're starting to see some bulls finally come back, you need bulls for a bull market to take place. We're finally seeing some bulls come in, and that we don't think that means this run's about to end. In fact, we think there's still a good deal left to it. But it is interesting to see so many people jumping on the bullish bandwagon here in the last couple of weeks.
I don't know. Julian Emanuel over at Evercore ISI calls it the strategist short squeeze. So basically, they were on the wrong side, and everybody's kind of ratcheting up their estimates. Ryan, thank you so much. Ryan Dietrich, he's Chief Market Strategist over at the Carson Group, joining us on the phone in Cincinnati.
Get some Skyline chili, Ryan. Head to your local Skyline.
No, but John Authors also
you ever been
talks
to Cincinnati?
about. I don't know that I've ever been to Ohio. Maybe. No.
What? You've never been to the great state of Ohio?
Gotta drive through.
How can you consider yourself an American if you haven't been to the heart of it all?
Have you been to New Jersey?
Yeah, way too many times.
Oh, have you been to the airport?
No, I mean I've visited my good friend Katie Greifeld, who lives in New Jersey. You know, I've never gotten an invite to the Masser household, but I'm almost 50. There's still time.
There's still time. All right, everybody, getting you down to the close in just a moment.
Your company news headlines on Bloomberg Radio.
From Bloomberg World Headquarters, I'm Charlie Pellet. Lots of tech earnings next week, including Alphabet, Microsoft, and Meta Platforms. Mandeep Singh is a senior tech analyst with Bloomberg Intelligence.
I think right now the focus is definitely on the internet names and notably Alphabet. Given, we have had a great run for all the other mega caps, Alphabet so far has somewhat missed out, and the ChatGPT overhang, you can see that on the stock. based on the work that we have done, we've seen, YouTube trends are holding up very nicely. In fact, we think YouTube has taken share in terms of time spent on streaming platforms from the likes of Netflix.
And you can hear more of that conversation on the Bloomberg Business Week podcast.